Where are we heading, Mr. Polyev?
Off a cliff.
Who will control, who will resolve these issues?
Me.
Does Bank of Canada has only this solution to raise the interest rate again and again, ninth time in a row? Or there are other solutions also, because you have also kept two demands to the government for controlling the spending?
Well, the problem and therefore the solution lies with the government itself.
Decriminalization of drugs, and that's all a very hard drugs. You spoke on that too.
Yes.
If you make a next government, what will be your step on this? Because parents, kids, they don't want to see the drugs. G7 countries, UK, US, Japan, France, Italy, Canada has the maximum level of debt. Trillions dollars, more than that national debt Canada has. Where are we heading, Mr. Polyev?
Jail, not bail. Jail, not bail for repeat violent offenders, to take the dangerous criminals off our streets.
And you agree that Canada is not the same what it used to be years ago?
People don't recognize it. It's unbelievable.
Beauty of Canada. We always talked when we came to this country that Canada is a beautiful country. As the time passes, we have seen the fall graph of Canada. How many Chinese police stations operating in Canada?
We know of at least 2.
How you see NDP's role? Because many Canadians feel that inside the parliament they speak something else, they are supporting the government. Outside they are speaking the other language. They are criticizing the government. Mr. Polyev, you said you have 2 demands. If those are not met in the parliament, you will use every tool to block the federal budget.
Yes.
Why you said that? ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ। ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਆਫੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਆਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਪੀਅਰ ਪੋਲੀਵੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ 'ਚ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਹੈ। ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਤੇ ਸਵਾਲਾਂ ਤੇ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਵੀ ਹਰ ਉਹ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨਸ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਚੱਕੇ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਅਕਾਊਂਟੇਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਰੱਖਣੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਕੁਝ ਸਵਾਲ ਰੱਖਾਂਗੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਨੁਮਾਇੰਦੇ ਆਣ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛੀਏ, ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨਸ ਵਾਂਟ ਅਕਾਊਂਟੇਬਿਲਿਟੀ। ਮਿਸਟਰ ਪੋਲੀਏਵ, ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ।
Great to be with you, Nitin. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Mr. Polyev, starting with Bank of Canada's latest decision.
Yes.
No, Bank of Canada is making no friends with recent rate hike. Question is, does Bank of Canada has only this solution to raise the interest rate again and again, ninth time in a row? Or there are other solutions also, because you have also kept 2 demands to the government for controlling the spending?
Well, the problem and therefore the solution lies with the government itself. Justin Trudeau has added $500 billion of inflationary deficits. This is money he's borrowed, but it creates more cash that bids up the goods we buy and the interest that we pay. Trudeau recently introduced a new budget that adds $60 billion of additional above and beyond spending. That's $4,200 per family in Canada, which is pushing up inflation. And so the Bank of Canada is trying to reverse the inflation that Trudeau is causing. One former Liberal finance minister, John Manley, said it's like Justin Trudeau is pressing on the gas pedal of inflation while the Bank of Canada is trying to press on the brake. And what happens when you do that? The engine can blow. And so what we need to do is get rid of Trudeau's inflationary deficits, balance the budget to bring down both inflation and interest rates. That's what I'm demanding.
Inflation rate was 6.7% and now it came down to 4.4%, and Bank of Canada said our target is 2%.
2%.
But question is, we are giving billions of dollars to Ukraine. So Canadians have a question. This is not my question or our question. This is a Canadian question. We are giving billions of dollars to other countries, including Ukraine. Why can't we induct that money into the economy so that the Canadians, their backbone is breaking with these hikes and another coming very soon, maybe in the July also. So why can't we stop those spendings?
Well, there's no question that on the whole, Trudeau is massively overspending, wasting money. For example, he's spending $35 billion on an infrastructure bank that has been in place for 6 years and hasn't built a single infrastructure project. $35 billion. What a waste of money. $54 million on the wasteful Arrive Can app. He's doubled the amount Canada spends, the Canadian government spends on consultants, from $10 billion to $21 billion. That works out to $1,400 per family. He's building up bureaucracy and he's giving our money away, and that is causing inflation. So I want to cut the waste, cap the spending, balance the budget to bring down inflation and interest rates.
Mr. Polyev, China's Ukraine envoy, he said, don't send tanks and weapons to the battlefield, but try for the peace talks. And that's in the interest of Canada also because we can save the money. So what you will say on that statement of envoy?
So which envoy is this?
China's Ukraine envoy.
Oh, I see. Well, listen, we're not going to take direction from China on the Ukraine issue. I think we should make our own decisions in our own national interest. More importantly, we have to get our finances strong here at home. And I think the thing we can do to help the most, Nitin, is to export our natural gas and our oil to Europe to break the European dependence on Putin. Putin's war is being funded by oil and gas sales to Europe because Europeans don't have alternatives. I would approve pipelines and natural gas facilities so that we can ship our energy to the Europeans, break the European dependence on Putin, and turn dollars for dictators into paychecks for our people.
Mr. Polyev, you said you have two demands. If those are not met in the parliament, you will use every tool to block the federal budget.
Yes.
Why you said that?
Because Trudeau's inflationary tax and spend budget is driving up the cost of living and driving up interest rates. We can't afford higher inflation and interest rates, yet that is exactly what we got. Trudeau's own finance minister said the deficits are like pouring gas on the inflationary fire. And then, 2 weeks later, what did she do? Announced $60 billion of new gas on the inflationary fire. That's $4,200 a family. Canadians can't afford that. So what I'm saying is, especially the mortgages, we have the highest level of household debt of any G7 country, $2 trillion of household debt. That's bigger than our entire economy. And when interest rates go up on all those renewing mortgages, people are going to go bankrupt, and we could have a financial crisis. So what I'm saying is, let's cap spending, cut waste, balance the budget to bring down inflation and interest rates on Canadians.
Small business organizations, their federation, they wrote to Prime Minister that end of this year, they have to return the CEBA loans and CEBA payments also. Interest rates are again going high.
Yes.
And they never expected their budget it's kind of a total disturbed budget for any Canadian family. Because if they made a budget, they can't afford now, groceries are expensive, these mortgages they can't pay, so bankruptcies. Only solution left is with the bankruptcies is government pushing for the bankruptcies because Canadians, they have a different voice now, they can't afford living here because minimum wages, we know $16 approximately.
No, that's the problem we had. Canadians can't afford Justin Trudeau. He's not worth the price. His $500 billion of inflationary deficits are driving up the cost of living and the interest rates that we pay. The cost of government is driving the cost of living. That's why we need to make government more affordable so life is more affordable. We also have to get rid of the carbon tax. We have a 14 cent a liter carbon tax that's driving up heat, gas, and groceries. I will get rid of the tax, but Trudeau now plans to raise the tax all the way to 61 cents a liter. This is insane. That's more than quadruple. It will also drive up heat and food costs because, of course, our farmers use fuel. You tax their fuel, you tax our food. I will get rid of the tax to bring down inflation and interest rates.
Mr. Polyev, beauty of Canada. We always talked when we came to this country that Canada is a beautiful country. Today also. But today, the image of Canada in the world is going down and has gone down a lot. Reason I'm saying because those who came to Canada years ago, 10, 15, 20 years ago, they know what Canada was, what Canada is. But as the time passes, we have seen the fall graph of Canada. Reason, crime rate high.
Yes.
Carjackings is a national crisis. Homelessness is a national crisis. And every single issue, mortgage, rate hikes. And there are so many things. The list is so long that in G7, you already mentioned that G7 countries, UK, US, Japan, France, Italy, Canada has the maximum level of debt. Trillions dollars, more than that national debt Canada has. Where are we heading, Mr. Polyev?
Off a cliff.
Who will control, who will resolve these issues?
Me.
And you have a plan for Canadians?
Yes. Look, the bottom line is 8 years after 8 years of Justin Trudeau, we have life more expensive. Work doesn't pay. crime, chaos, drugs and disorder rule in our streets. Housing costs have doubled, which has forced many people to live in tents and our students to be trapped in basements. Many adults living in their parents' homes until they're 35. Enough. The government is broke and everything feels broken. I will change that. I'm going to make this a country that works for the people who work. We'll bring home lower prices by getting rid of the inflationary carbon tax and deficits. We'll bring home powerful paychecks with lower income taxes that reward work. And we'll remove gatekeepers so that our brilliant immigrants can work as doctors and nurses, earning better paychecks. We'll bring homes people can afford by removing the government gatekeepers to speed up permits and free up land to build millions of new affordable homes. We'll bring home safe streets with jail, not bail, for repeat violent offenders to take the dangerous criminals off our streets. And finally, we'll bring home freedom by having a smaller government, ending the censorship and the foreign interference.
And you agree that Canada is not the same what it used to be years ago?
People don't recognize it. It's unbelievable. You know, I grew up here. I don't recognize this. When I walk around the streets and I see these tent cities, we never had that when I was a kid. You know, I look at Kelowna. When I was a kid growing up in Calgary, every kid dreamed they grow up, make it big, and they could have a nice place in Kelowna. Now, they have a tent city there that's 10 blocks long. It looks like a third world country. Look at Vancouver with these tent cities, 30,000 people dying of overdoses, violent crime raging in our streets, people thrown onto the tracks at TTC transit stations. This is 8 years of Justin Trudeau has done. The government is broke. The country feels broken. We need a new prime minister who can put the pieces back together and bring it home.
Mr. Poilievre, special rapporteur, Mr. David Johnston. You made a very clear words, he must go. Liberal Party's coalition government, the NDP, Jagmeet Singh said that he should go, Mr. Johnston should go. Then Mr. Tom Mulcair, he said that Mr. Trudeau is using Johnston as a shield. So how is the conflict of interest? Because the inquiry, his report is also there. So why you need a public inquiry? And is that really a conflict of interest, a big time?
It is. Justin Trudeau's ski buddy, cottage neighbor, family friend of 40 years, and member of the Trudeau Foundation, which received Beijing donations. David Johnston is not objective. He's not independent. He needs to go, and we need a full public inquiry to get to the bottom of Beijing's interference in our democracy.
And you said Prime Minister Trudeau is spoiling the image of David Johnston?
He is. Look, David Johnston did have a good image before, but of course Trudeau put him in this position. He is using him as a shield, and that's why Mr. Johnston's reputation has been destroyed by Trudeau. We need a real investigation. Beijing has interfered in 2 elections to help Trudeau win. We need to know why. Why is a foreign dictatorship trying to keep Trudeau in power? Why? We should all be worried about that. Our Prime Minister should be working for Canada, not for Beijing. We need a new Prime Minister who will bring it home.
Mr. Poilievre, Canadians trust their political parties. We have 3 main parties, and Jagmeet Singh is the leader of opposition NDP party. Now, question is how you see NDP's role, because many Canadians feel that inside the parliament they speak something else. They are supporting the government. Outside, they are speaking the other language. They are criticizing the government. But other way, they are supporting the government on many critical issues which Canada is facing today. How you see that?
Well, Jagmeet Singh is in a costly coalition with Justin Trudeau. Jagmeet Singh represents more of the same for Canada. As long as he and Trudeau stick together, we'll continue to have high inflation, high interest rates, high taxes, and high debt. We need exactly the opposite. I will defeat the costly coalition and use common sense conservatives to govern the country with lower taxes. We'll bring home lower prices by ending the carbon tax, bring home powerful paychecks with lower income taxes, bring homes people can afford by removing gatekeepers to build, bring home safety with jail, not bail, for violent offenders and with treatment and not more drugs for our addicts, and bring home freedom to our country by ending the foreign interference. That's my common sense plan for Canada. Now we need to bring it home.
How many Chinese police stations operating in Canada?
We know of at least 2. We know of at least 2, but I asked Justin Trudeau, who has access to all the briefings, and he won't answer. So either he's hiding it or he doesn't know. I don't know which is worse.
serious concern. Many parents, many Canadian parents have. I know you have a short of time, but this is very important question, Ms. Polyev, that parents have a concern. In British Columbia, the small kids, high school kids, they were trained how to consume the drugs, snorting, how to do snorting safely. They were given free kits.
Yep.
Decriminalization of drugs, and that's all a very hard drugs. You spoke on that too.
Yes.
If you make a next government, what will be your step on this? Because parents, kids, they don't want to see the drugs. And one last point, why can't, if it is so necessary, why can't it be through the family doctor? Because we cannot get a strong dose of Tylenol without family doctor prescription. And here we are getting the drugs, 2 gram plus, without any family doctor.
That's true. I will ban hard drugs. Trudeau has signed a deal with the NDP government in BC to decriminalize crack, heroin, fentanyl, and other deadly drugs. I will ban those drugs. Secondly, Trudeau is using your tax money to hand out hydromorphone, which is an opioid stronger than heroin. You can get them in BC now from Trudeau's plan. He gave it $3 million to a company that has vending machines, like you know where you get your potato chips? A vending machine. Boop, 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 boop. Out pops your heroin. And then people take the heroin. Guess what happens? It keeps them high for a couple of weeks, but then they get bored of it. So what do? They sell it to kids, and they take the profits to buy more powerful drugs. Then the kids get bored of it, and they sell those drugs to buy more powerful fentanyl. And that's why we've had 30,000 people die of overdoses since Trudeau took office. My common sense plan is to stop giving out tax-funded drugs and instead put that same money into treatment. So we bring people in, give them detox, clean out their bodies, get them exercising, get them job training, get them into a sober home next to the treatment facility, and then they can rebuild their lives and we can bring home our loved ones drug-free.
Your message to the immigration system, your message to the international students, those who are protesting, what is your message to them?
The system is broken. The system is absolutely broken. Justin Trudeau has allowed fraud artists to rip off our system, rip off students, lie to them, and then many of these students are coming here, getting hooked on drugs, getting involved in violence because they feel no hope. They have no way of paying the rent. They can't afford food. They can't call their families back in India because they're ashamed that they've lost all the family's money. This system is destroying people. We need to get back to the common sense immigration system we had 8 years ago, which invites people who follow the law and play by the rules, and protects them against the abuses of shady and corrupt consultants. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to restore lawful common sense immigration to our country.
Mr. Polyev, thank you. Canadians see you as a next hope to save Canada because Canadians are struggling. Thank you very much for coming and discussing all these
It's
issues.
an honor, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. ਸੋ ਆ ਸੀਗੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਆਫੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਆਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਪੀਅਰ ਪੋਲੀਅਵ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਵੀ ਅਗਰ ਕੋਈ ਸਵਾਲ ਹੈ, ਅਗਰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪੇਨ ਹੈ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਚੁਣੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੁਮਾਇੰਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪੁੱਛੋ, ਆਪਣੇ ਲੀਡਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪੁੱਛੋ। ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅੱਛਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਹੋਵੇਗਾ। ਫਿਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਗੈਸਟ ਨਾਲ ਰੂਬਰੂ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ। ਦੇਖਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਆਪਣਾ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ।